Call meeting to order. We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 25th meeting.
So,
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the notes or minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Wait, I'm just gonna mute Helen. Okay.
Next, we have some additions to new business. 9B, members of the public requesting speed limit signs on Safe Forest Road. Another one for 9C, approval of the Windham County Humane Society contract. Do we have that?
It's in the packet.
Another one, common use request for Candlelight Vigil in memory of Dylan Landers. And number C, 9E, use of the town hall requested for a memorial for Phil Moriarty. So that's all added to the what we have to do tonight. Okay, members of the public, do you have anything, Laura?
Oh, yes, yes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. Today it does. Okay, first I wanted to hand every one of you this policy because I don't know if all of you are familiar with it or have read it. It's completely through. Yeah, the common use policy. Have you read it? So I think you're. I don't know if your name's on there or not.
Should be.
I know that you were part of the whole crew there. There you go. So, I kind of brought that in because it kind of corresponds with what I hear about. I know that we had, do you want time to read it? Or?
You've read it.
Okay, all right. So, we've both spoken many times in the past about the gazebo, and I was told relatively recently that there have been monies found in order to do work on the gazebo. And this is the time that I think contractors would be able to do work on the gazebo. And because it's going to take a while, I think, for most contractors to even get them to come and start. So I was just wondering when bids were going to be sent out to have the work done. You know, what is the status of that whole thing at this point in time?
There isn't a status on it because we haven't had anybody come to tell us that they've fallen through it or there's a hole in it. And the people we got in touch with, mainly John Evans, went out there and went through the whole thing. And he told me himself and showed me himself where the boards are feathered. But that's going to happen all the time. So we're going to use epoxy and fix it.
Well, that's already been done. It's not particularly fixed. It's more of a makeup on a corpse, but it makes the corpse look good, but the corpse is still dead. But anyway, there are still balusters missing.
Yeah, that's right.
In places that need to be replaced at least. And from what I was told from John, he said the foundation, the underpinnings of the gazebo are solid, but he admitted himself that the steps, the treads of the steps they're probably getting to the point where they should be replaced. And I'm kind of questioning the concept of not doing any work until someone falls through or falls off. That seems a rather odd way of looking at things.
I was being
Excuse me.
Never mind.
Yeah, okay. I just think that it has not been maintained in a number of years. There are issues that are going to get worse, whether it's been painted and epoxied or not, and it would be proactive to try to address some of the things that are obviously going to need work soon before there becomes a worse problem.
Well, we'll take that under consideration and we'll have discussion about it. As far as this policy goes, it is null and void. Null and void.
I have not seen any
That's right, because
paperwork that says it's null and void.
it hasn't been finished. But when the board votes and it's opposite this, we have the right to get rid of it at any moment.
But you haven't done it.
Okay, I can fix that.
You can fix that. So
Yeah.
you already know that the whole board is going to agree that the policy is not appropriate and shouldn't be in place.
I mean, I'll say as the new person, whether it's appropriate of whether it's in place or not, I think some of the examples that have come forward that I've found so far that don't follow this policy, but I would never want to deny because they didn't follow it, such as they weren't within the 30 days in advance. Like, I would never want to say to the requests for the common within 30 days right now, sorry, we can't accommodate this because there wasn't enough planning ahead. So right away, anytime I read something and quickly I see, like, thinking of the examples that we have approved recently and will potentially approve this evening, it right away brings this paperwork, into question. And then I guess, again, I'm new to all these pieces. While there may not be an updated policy, many of these people aren't on the board anymore. So I think, we could definitely revisit, creating a town common use policy that both takes the legal aspects into play, but also the flexibility that sometimes people need in making requests.
Okay, yeah, I think that the people that did it was only done a few years ago. And I think that they put a lot of time and thought into it, and they tried their best to come up with something that they felt was fair. This is also something that I put before the select board last year that you weren't here when this was put before the select board. 55 plus people in town signed that petition. So basically, people want to see the gazebo taken care of. And they'd like to see money being put into some kind of a fund in order to do that. I will be bringing something before the town meeting if I can get it together and I'm still around next year addressing this as well. The policy also, I think, was put in place because I think when people have to pay for something, they tend to be more respectful and more careful of it. As one aspect of the fee. Another aspect of the fee is that at this time, there is absolutely no fund that the town has put aside out of taxpayer money for maintaining the gazebo. There's a whole list of things in the town report that get money from the town for the common, but the gazebo is not one of them.
Articles were brought ahead of time in planning of that town meeting. The articles were brought so that we could vote on that at town meeting as a whole, as an entire town. You know what
I know, but I didn't get it submitted in time. I didn't realize that there was a time limit, so I'm going to bring it before the town meeting next year.
I do have a question about this, as a person who doesn't know how this works. Can a member of our town that is interested in the upkeep of the gazebo, could they potentially, on their own will, bring a contractor, 3 contractors out there to look at it without having to bring it before the board first, get an estimate and bring it to us?
Certainly can.
Because like I could just say I'm just not up here, but I'm like a member of the town, and I could just say, hey, contractor, can you meet me at the gazebo and take a look at it and get me an estimate as a just normal person from the town?
Yeah, there's no.
We've had people before in the past that strike up something and they just go for it because they know it's for the better of the town. It's not hurting anybody. They're bringing their own materials, they're doing whatever they're doing, and it's a positive thing. And they've never been shut down or told to stop, cease until they get permission from anybody.
And I mean, even if they didn't want to go ahead and do the work, they could get the estimate if they wanted to. They don't need to ask us
Nobody's gonna say for
before.
them to not do any of that. And,
Right, okay.
you know,
Well,
the other part is that I don't understand, Laura, is that there's 1,200 people in this town. And you're continuously like one of the only people that really keep rolling with this, where it's less like, if it was such a humongous thing to all these different people, they'd be beating the doors down over here.
There's already money in place, I shouldn't have to go out.
Yeah, but
and
it's not
knock.
even that. It's like you keep going with it, and it's
I keep
like,
going with it because
it's like you come down here, you spent more time down here arguing with us than it would take to rip the whole thing down, burn it, and build it new. I mean, we could have done that.
Okay.
With the amount of time that you spent down
I'm
here
sure
giving
it's
us a
not
hard
a little
time
bit.
about something. And it's like, you know, we're here donating our time, basically. And it's not to like keep going over and over and over and over the same issues every single meeting. So that's all I'm saying about it.
To piggyback on what Rob's saying, I think that your heart's in the right place. I really appreciate that you're continuing to stay involved. You're giving us documentation, but maybe if we can get more specific, like specifically what are you looking for to be done? Just repaint it, replace all of the boards, get it. I think having a contractor give you a really good idea and a plan and even a number if possible, then we could make actionable moves. Like you're saying, going to the town
I have not been able to
meeting.
get a contractor to call me back because they're straight out. I've been trying to get a contractor
Yeah.
since October.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
I have not been able to get one to call me back. The one person that I know personally couldn't do it, and he recommended another way of getting it looked at, but it's not going to behoove the town if I do that, but I can. So, I mean, that's what I will have to do.
Now
probably.
we're just going on to the next steps. I think you've laid a lot of really good groundwork and you've got people on your side. So now if we could actually get a plan in line, then we can actually discuss what that means to allocate that money to rebuild it or fix it or paint
Well,
it.
I already got a price on the balusters and the railings, pressure treated balusters and railings. The only things that I can see that need to be done otherwise is the perimeter of the floor.
Okay.
The outer perimeter, the center is pretty much okay. And the treads of the steps, I think there's 4 or 5 steps that are really getting pretty funky and worn. Altogether, I'm sure that's not going to equal what we have available in the common fund. But I'm not sure what the labor would entail. But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the materials would not even come close to that.
I think
So
it makes sense that instead of postulating about a lot of these things, if we're gonna spend the time of the board talking about it, we should actually have something definitive to discuss. And that's for everybody's time.
I think then we could make a plan. We could either say that there is a fund to deal with it, or we could say, create an article before such and such a date to have the entire town vote on it, and then the actual money would be allocated in that way. Because I think that some of the other fund language seemed a little muddy to some people, and we weren't totally sure whether we're supposed to put it one way or the other. And I think the safest way, in my opinion, and what I've learned over the past year on being on the board, is to put the article before town meeting, have the townspeople decide this.
Yes.
That makes me the most comfortable, because I didn't quite understand the language of the fund anyway. And if we had all the information in order before then, what's stopping us? Right?
You need it by January, if you're gonna
Yes,
put it in.
I know that now.
All right, you
I
need
did
it by
not know
January.
that.
Don't let us discourage you.
I want to.
I do want to remind the board that at the last time that Laura raised the gazebo issue was in the middle of winter, like not much could be done. And I do remember Sherwood saying that when the weather dries up, we'll look at it. So,
And John went over there, he inspected the whole thing and pointed out a couple of things that should be addressed and put all the balusters back. And,
Almost all.
well, we're not gonna be able to find the person who did those balusters, and they're not gonna be changed to metal.
Oh, no, I'm not
Basically, those
suggesting that.
balusters they're not made like factory made. They're longer than normal balusters. They're a different design than normal balusters are made. You go down to WW, when I took my 15 minutes to figure out what it's gonna cost for balusters, and I went down to WW's, I found out that they stopped making that baluster, the company that they get their balusters through, in 2019. And so basically you're at custom baluster making.
Well,
And I'm not welling, I'm not gonna get into an argument and a back and forth about it. I'm telling you that they stopped making them, they gotta be custom made. You know, your pressure treated ones that you're talking about are not the same as that's on there.
I know.
Okay, so it's
What
like,
I'm saying, I mean, even if they don't match, putting even just plain balusters in the place where the gaps are.
Really, you
To
think
make
that's gonna
sure-
look aesthetically nice?
Well, at
First
least
of all,
nobody
do
can
you
fall
understand what
down.
that was even put there for? It was made for a movie prop.
I know that.
It's
I know
not
that.
historic, it's nothing more than somebody goes there, takes a picture on it, and it looks cool.
It was a gift because they killed the trees, right?
No, it was, they wanted a
it
gazebo
was
on the
that.
common for the funny farm, so they built the gazebo. It wasn't built as a permanent structure, it was put there, and they said, well, instead of us moving it, we're gonna give it to you as a gift. And it's like, well, hooray, well, who's gonna take care of it? It's built to last 5 minutes, a movie prop. It wasn't built to last 100 years. Whether it makes it 100 years or not, it was put there in 1987.
What movie?
Funny
had-
Farm.
No.
That was the replacement of trees. They
Well, what
killed the
movie?
trees, so they replaced the trees.
And
What movie was that?
Same.
Funny farm.
Same one. Oh, I see.
And that money, what's left of that money, it came from restoration of the trees. But in the language of the paperwork, it wasn't something that that they actually dedicated other than saying it was the common fund. So I think they expected that trees were going to be impacted, or the money was just forgotten because it's allocated again every year to take care of mowing the common and having the trees, making sure the trees are healthy. The hell is the name of that outfit that does it?
Bartlett.
Bartlett Trees. So that comes up every year.
And I do believe the only reason that the trees were sprayed with whatever to make it look like it was a winter scene is because they were trying to film it. And they weren't getting, they had normal Vermont weather where it was here today, gone tomorrow, and hoping for tomorrow when it's next month. So that's how that happened. And it's like, now here we are. I can remember 20 years ago, people complaining about it, putting $500 away to even put any money towards it. And, you know, it's, here we are, 20 years later with revisionist history.
Well,
Well, the thing is,
Beating
it's
us.
like, it's there, so.
And it
to
cannot
say-
be there. I mean, all it
Well-
would take is like one more BMW blowing through it again at 80 and it would be, you
Well,
know,
if it's not
kindling.
there, it's not there. But it's either there or it's not there, but it shouldn't be there and not be taken care of.
Is
That's
there
what I'm
packet
saying.
of information that tells you how to put in, like, the steps you need to take to put an article in front for town meeting, or for?
There's no packet. I did call Laura before and asked, before the articles went in, before we did the town report, and I called her and I called the library, because those were two organizations that were two folks that were thinking about putting an article in.
I just think letting the town decide.
let's get back to the policy and then we're gonna put this to
Well,
bed.
one other thing I'd like to bring up though,
Wait. The town policy that is here before us, that you copied and brought in, it's not followed, and it doesn't have to be followed because the board chose to take a different direction. So this policy is null and void because it's replaced. The written revision will be probably the next time. I've got to get enough time to combine them from two policies to one. But it's all written, it's all worded that the board has the right to do X, Y, and Z. So stop relying on this. It doesn't matter. Once we make a vote outside of this, and we've made exceptions for pretty much everybody but a
when did you
commercial
do this? I
business.
thought this was supposed to be done in the open during select board meetings. I've been to every meeting. It has never been discussed other than you said it was going to be ready in 2 weeks, a month ago. That's the only discussion. When
it
was
is.
this decided?
Huh?
When was this discussed? When was it decided? As far as I know, there's a law that states that anything any policies or anything that's being done representing the town by a select board has to be done during a meeting. And it has to be
There's
discussed
no way
during the
that we can do
meeting.
everything that goes on with the select board in a meeting. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on between
Oh, I know.
RFPs, well, you know everything, so it's like we were running hand in hand, but it's like, I mean, there's more business that can be done. I mean, some of our meetings last 15 minutes. Does that mean the whole entire 2 weeks worth of business for the select board is corresponded in there? No.
And there has been very little discussion about this until it was able to be put in front of the board. And I'm sorry, but I'm one person that works almost every day on something. It's too much to get everything done and ready for a certain meeting.
But how do you run?
Laura, I'm about to get off of the select board and let you take my position on the select board at this point, because I'm getting sick and tired of it. Well, you know why you don't want it? Is because you don't want to deal with stuff like this all the time, every week.
If I'm correct, I think what Sherwood's referring to is that he's going to bring something before the board to
He's not-
discuss and vote on. He's working on the revisions, but nothing's been voted on or
place.
changed.
Or
yet.
discussed.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. No, I misunderstood that. I thought it was a done deal. But,
Last thing,
well, it was stated just a few minutes ago that the common fund was used for the trees, blah, 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 blah. We actually have tax money that comes out of our budget every year. And one of the things that is budgeted out is tree management, $3,500. Tree care, $3,000. So that's not coming out of the common use fund.
no.
That's being voted in by the town every year.
Yeah,
So the common use fund is separate from that.
yes.
Okay, you kind of said something about it was used for like tree care and stuff, but that's already taken care of. I just wanted to clarify that
I don't think I said anything about tree
I
care.
think it was answering Phoebe's question.
when you were discussing with,
All right, is there anything else?
The tree care for the common too is a situation with Bartlett that is set up through Bill Eckhart, who used to live on East Hill and was, whatever his situation with Bartlett Tree Service was, he was firsthand on that, and that's how Bartlett Tree Service got into it, and they give us a heck of a deal on what they do for us in the tree care department as far as fertilizing, trimming, and taking care of things.
And the other $3,000 is for trees that are dangerous and need to be removed. That's what that's for. $3,500 for the common trees, and the other $3,000 is for the trees in town that need to be removed for dangerous situations. All right, I think we've had enough with that. Let me see where we are here. This is where
Windham Hills correspondence?
Yeah, we get correspondence from a person on Windham Hill. He's concerned about the pothole up there. We'll send him just a letter of what's going on. It should be fixed pretty soon, because I imagine the hot mix plants should be opening up. Now, I have no idea either, but,
Yeah,
I
where's
think
that
they're
guy?
hoping.
yeah, is it?
Yeah, it is, and it looks like the middle of the road's kind of cracking a little
All
bit.
right, well, maybe we'll have to have Steve get up there. and
Yeah, because
repair it.
now when different directions of traffic, it's a little bit,
It's like one way almost.
not quite, but you do have to swerve around and it gets a little bit
From the
dicey.
They come down that hill at 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
so, hole getting worse.
Saw they were out this morning taking care of all the, I know, covered in them. Road crew out this morning mowing and doing all the flowers and stuff.
Yeah. That's normal. We rent a mower to do the edges of the road every year. And in Steve's update, it'll tell us where we're at. All right, correspondence, that was the biggest one. See if there was anything else. Don't
There's
think
one
there
from
was.
John Evans.
Oh, yes, John. Per Sherwood's request, John is submitting this update to the project at the town hall to modify the bathrooms to be compliant with the Americans with Disability Act. Here is the minutes from the Planning Commission, John reported that informal discussions with the workers in the town hall and their general support for the idea of converting the bathroom to a single use, making existing women's bathroom handicap accessible. They talked with a plumber about what it would be, or what would be required. John believes that it can be done in the existing space without major renovations and at a relatively low cost. DeCerlo shared the handout from Vermont's new rules under Act 127, single-use gender bathrooms. Basically, you have to signs. You can't use the men's or women's. It either has to be restroom or bathroom. And I do believe we have to post it with a placard, a handicap placard as well. John approached me outside of his planning board, and he asked me if he could look into it and see what it would cost to do that, which would kind of tame down some of the other things that are going on with this building. So I told him go ahead, and he has gotten through the plumber the regulations, and I guess he called the state, and they said that the space that he's got is perfectly fine. Just you just have to. I think the plumber brought the inspector down here, and all they need to do is put a pull bar and kind of raise the bar up a little bit, so it will cover part of the window to install it. John has the flooring, and he says he thinks he has the bar already. So when he comes, he'll ask for money to do it once he's got a good idea of exactly the cost. He was thinking initially that it was going to be $500, right around $500. So they'll have to take out the stalls that are in there, close the one toilet that's in there, and then the whole space will be the handicapped and women's bathroom. That's what this comes from. So there's really nothing for us to do right now until we find out what it is that it's going to cost to do.
$500 seems very inexpensive.
Yeah, the plumber's here in town, and he's given things to the town before, so it's not surprising, material costs and that stuff. That's not really surprising. I think we went through both of those. All right.
The warrants would be next.
Warrants are up next. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the warrants. Number 1, payroll in the amount of $10,871.18. Number 2, payroll taxes in the amount of $3,021.46. Number 3, general fund in the amount of $159.18. Number 4, general fund in the amount of $13,823.40. Number 5, highway in the amount of $6,048.96. Number 6, highway equipment in the amount of $2,224.96. Number 7, ARPA in the amount of $10,308.30 for a total of $44,457.44.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, do we have any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next reports. Steve had a situation today, an emergency that he had to go deal with. So he sent his report in to Connie. And basically what it says is spring maintenance continues with grading and culvert and ditch cleaning. Mowing has started. The fountain will be painted this week. The fence along Phoenix property will go up soon. He'll be working with ANR and Army Corps for permitting on the Stone Arch Bridge. Next meeting, 5/23, he will also have the bids for the gravel crushing. Okay? And next, we have treasurer's report. In that, we have the true fund balance of $397,366. And do we have the bank statement here?
No, she did not get those first.
As always, the bank statement is going to show higher because that's some true money that's in the account. This is based on the budget, what's left in the accounts that the money's committed to.
Where it says people's checking, that would, I think, be the municipal investment. It's the $1,305,956, that top line upper.
Okay, now that should be that should actually be what the fund balance is overall.
Yep.
And then the checking account usually holds in at $30,000, but it went down a little bit. Clerk's report, through her fees that are collected, she has received $1,121.10. Okay, PACIF members. Oh, I just want to say from Chair's report, I brought with me two guides. One of them is an emergency preparedness planning guide. And you can pick a topic and you flip to that topic in the guide and it'll give you the information about what you should do. You know, since we've had all of this conversation about the emergency plan, I brought this out because at least 3 years ago I put these things out in the town clerk's office and nobody's taken advantage of it. So I put more out there just the other day. I want to say something and make it really clear that the state has approved that emergency operations plan and it's done for until next year. It has been put into place. It is a plan that's been tested several times in this town. It was used when the truck flipped over in front of Riverbend. It was used when the town truck was flipped over on Plum Road. The best way that the best thing for people to do is to get themselves signed up for Vermont Alerts. Vermont Alerts, which we have access to and can put something out on, covers the entire state. But if you're signed up for it, you get alerts on weather, you get alerts on road closures. You can select what areas you want to have information from. Personally, I want to know what's going on around us, so I select an area like Brookline, Newfane, and just keep going, Bennington, Manchester. So I'll get one of the alerts for those areas, just as a matter of course. It's important to know what's going on around you because what's going on around you could be coming to get you. So I highly suggest that people, if they want to know in emergencies what to do, to pick these things up at the town clerk's office. The one other point that was made last week was that people wanted to know what they were supposed to do during an emergency to get contact, to get people to get people that needed to be checked on. You need to plan for your emergency. Don't start trying to plan the day that it starts snowing or it starts raining, I would personally take the storm that we just got over with, and how many days, look at how many days you were without power. Did you have enough either fuel for your heat, meaning wood? Did you have enough medicine? Did you have enough food? Because what it basically boils down to is, if it's happening to you, it's happening to the rest of us. And this storm, a couple of weeks ago, was something that we don't experience all the time. So you take that storm, how long were you out of power? And get the stuff that you need. Like I said, food, medicine. Fill up the bathtub with water. If you've got plastic jugs, get water, that's what you need the most of. And be ready, because you may be 3 to 5 days before we can get there. And the state does the same thing to us. It's the same idea. So 3 to 5 days. The last, on Irene, there were towns that were cut off, including us. Fortunately, we weren't cut off for long, but it took 5 days for them to get over into a town that was totally cut off. Every road in, it was washed out. They managed to get there through an old class 4 road. State police came in with 4-wheelers. So, don't expect any extra aid immediately. Be ready, and be ready before it hits. Any comments?
I just wanted to
Wait a
mention.
minute. Phoebe, any comments? You've been a planner.
Yeah, I mean, it's a priority, it's important. It's not always as simple as that, but I think preparing as best you can, and trying to address what you know are gonna be the limitations of your situation.
Okay, Laura.
I think in this particular instance, one of the main problems was heat. Because not everyone has access to not everyone has a wood stove. And that was probably the only way that people could stay warm during this past storm. So, and not everyone has the ability to, I mean, what could they do even if you have a little Mr. Heater with a propane tank? That propane tank's only gonna last so long. So I think that was one of the main concerns, which is why it seemed that if they could get someplace else where they could at least get warmed up for a while, it would have been it would have been very helpful to people.
Perfect situation. Things, if small areas of the town are affected, and we can bring those people down here or over to Dutton Gym and set them up. But we need people that can move. And I couldn't get out. To come down there.
Yeah.
And this barn was really cold because it was out of power, and it takes a long time to get some heat in here. And if you bring people in, even in a warming circumstance, and they got nowhere else to go, when you shut down for the day and move, they've got to go. Can't leave them in here. So, and you get people with medical conditions, like there was one that we addressed during this. First of all, she wouldn't leave the house without her cat. She has a history, I want to say there was a stroke history and a heart condition or something like that. And that's beyond what we can do here. She should have gone to a hospital. But again, she wouldn't leave without her cat. What are you going to do? State police went up there the first time. Rescue went up there the second time. State police returned, wouldn't move. So there's that element of it that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's perfect, Laura. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
I know, but it would be, the storm did, there were parts of the town that were opened up by Wednesday that had power, and like the library was open, they had heat and water and everything, and some people never got the power back until Saturday night. So
I'm aware.
those folks would have probably very much appreciated being able to go someplace, at least for a short time, and charge their phones and warm up and maybe cook a meal, you know, or whatever, so.
I think that as soon as our power was out, we were on an island. I mean, that happened to me, because I'm one of the people that didn't get power back until Saturday. Actually, you're my direct neighbor, and you had power before me, because me and my direct neighbor, M, are in a really special little spot where our power is connected to Windham and not everyone else on our road. So I'm sitting there assuming that everyone around me had, was out as well, and they weren't. My little dot on the map when I get down the hill and get a little 4G shows me that I have power when I don't. It happens every time because I'm at the end of the string and I call them. But something that I know as a person who's had children, and I'm looking at this and it says, you have to call your local emergency manager person if you have health needs, or like the state police. I'm happy that this checks off a lot of the boxes that were brought up when GMP was here. Something that I've always done since I had my first kid is I tell the power company I have an infant in my house. This is stuff that I've always done to prepare. And if you have a change in your health over the year, or your spouse dies or something like that, people just have to reach out to the state police, to apparently the fire chief, to the emergency management planner in your town, and let them know. If we have, because we are having a lot of weather events, if we have one, I'm vulnerable. And then you put yourself on the list, and I think that's the thing that's been coming up over and over, is that we don't have a way to go door to door, and then people are on an island once they lose their power and their internet. They don't have landlines, they don't know that the library was warm, because Karen would have been totally fine with people sitting on
Yeah,
there.
she had no people do.
So people just don't know. I had no idea who had what, so
Well,
I think this is good. This is a lot of the stuff that we were wondering where all of that information was floating around.
The electrical company, GMP, called by what they use, but I wasn't available because I couldn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
The power was out, and up there, cell service stinks. So they called the fire chief. That's why on the top of the list, there's 3 people. If they couldn't have got the fire chief, they would have been calling her. So, nothing's perfect, and when we get something like this, we just have to deal with it as it comes. I have access to every area that the power is out in town. I can tell you where it still hasn't been taken care of, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
I was out. So, let's just put it this way. We're working on it. If you want to spread the word to whoever you deal with, that these things are available in the town clerk's office, there's a bunch of them there. And sign up for Vermont Alerts, and they'll know some of these things that they need to do. And these little guides are really, really put together well.
Yeah, now I don't know where to send people, I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah, the Vermont alerts are great because you can, I get notifications, Route 30 was closed the other day, just briefly for a traffic accident. You get a notification to your phone, and then you get a notification when it's open. Things that are happening in the area, you can just get a notification that if cell service and internet is working.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But again, I got many notifications from them as the storm was, because they send you weather events and weather alerts.
Okay, let's move on. And let me just say one more thing. That plan is under revision every year. So it's not the same thing, it's not the same people. It's more of just a guide of who to get in touch with when there's a problem. You can plan everything you can think of. If you don't practice it, you don't have exercises about it, when the thing happens, nobody's going to know what to do. So you keep it on the simple side, and that works. Like I said, the plan that we put together has been used several times in emergency situations, and I see no reason to amend it at this point. Okay, so we have, where am I?
Depends on time.
The passive report, you just want to bring it to your attention?
What's that?
The passive quarterly loss report?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I have it. In the packet, it's, there's what we have for insurance claims and what we paid out, what they paid out. What it cost so far for a brand new truck. Oh, I know, oh, that's climbing, it's still climbing. It's still not back as far as I know. But this material, we want to take a back. And if you have any questions, we can talk to our insurance representative with those questions. Okay. Now, we're into new business. We have a request for a liquor license for Big Picture Farms. It's stuck on double-sided.
What's that?
It was stuck on double-sided. Is this the original? Okay. So, Big Picture Farms wants a liquor license renewed for first-class and first-class commercial catering. Does anybody have a problem with this? Has there been any complaints or issues?
No.
Okay, all right. I'd entertain a motion to approve the liquor license for Big Picture Farm.
So moved. Second.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Since they don't give a signature spot, what I'm going to do is just sign this down here. If you could all sign it under or wherever you have space. And then it'll be approved. Yeah, he's looking at that. That was that was the only one, right?
For the liquor license?
Yeah.
Left or the right?
Either way you want it. Okay, speed limit on Swift Forest Road. There you go. Let's see which one. All right, there's a request for speed limit on State Forest Road speed limit signs. I think we need to talk with Steve about this and have him do what he needs to do to explore what the issue is. So at this point, can we refer that over to Steve?
So I did call Steve. Steve said the board has to decide. So you want me to call him and just ask him to check it out?
If we've got to decide it, we don't know where they're going. That's the big thing. Are we gonna post it
So
from the
so-
bridge, you know, in intervals all the way down through there? I mean, how are we going to post it?
What
So-
is the speed limit? 35?
If there's no signs, it's 50.
Oh, really?
Well,
No,
now that
it's
they're
not.
out.
It's 35 on dirt, 50 on tar.
When did they change that?
It's been like that for a long time.
I've been out of it for a long time, but it used to be any place you didn't see a sign that it was
I
50.
think it's any class 2 road that's not marked as 50 miles an hour, and any class 3 road is 35. We've been through it.
Okay.
We've been over and over and over it
The
once every couple
The
years.
email and my understanding of the road is there may be a speed limit sign as you're coming off of Route 30 north. There may be a speed limit right there, but
The straightaway she referred to.
I think she's talking about, and there may not be, but regardless, the road changes, and even though it is a 30, if it's not posted, it is more appropriate, you know, it seems reasonable that it's more appropriately a 25 road, given that it's like a seasonal, you know, there's like.
Well, it branches off and then you get up to West Hill, so the question would be.
Right, yeah, and that's, I don't think that's where they're referring to as the speed concern. It sounds like the concern is like the straightaway being posted, like, not, I don't know. But
Well, we can
this-
do one of two things. We can go through a motion to have the speed limit set to 30, 25, whatever, and direct it to Steve to take care of it. Or we can ask Steve what things are, and that's just gonna drag it out, you know, what's necessary and where. So,
With the
I
same,
personally don't see a need to change anything
She's not
as far as
asking for that.
speed. Signage might be one thing.
yeah.
Right,
What did you say, what was the speed limit?
that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it's posted at all prior to the curves,
Probably not.
and then if I guess my question is the road posted? So is it a 25 or a 35 road? Is it posted anywhere that it's 25?
Good question.
So I'm not suggesting making any suggestions of changing the road speed, but if there's a designated speed such as
30,
30, 25
yeah.
or whatever, that at that straightaway, that would be a reasonable potential place to add signage. But
Okay.
again, that's not as simple as click your heels and like add a speed limit sign.
Well,
But again,
it'll be a
so
start for them to satisfy this, is if we can get these signs up.
the two questions for Steve, I guess, would be, is this road posted anywhere? And if so, what is the posted speed limit? And then the next piece would be, is it posted at that straightaway section?
It's not, that's what she
Right,
called
and
it.
therefore, if that, could there be a place where it could be posted there that fits within, you know, reasonable sign posting? Because I
Well,
don't necessarily think, you know, it doesn't seem like she's asking to suddenly throw up like a speed limit sign every 10 feet,
no.
but some sort of, you know, assistance.
Well, can we make a direction for Steve to get this done, kind of a broader or an open thing? So you can take the speed limit that is there right now, and he can put the signs out where he feels it's necessary, and that'll be giving him the direction to get it done. Or do we push it out another 2 weeks and get those two questions answered? But if the speed limit, as Rob said, seems fine for the area and the posting is the problem, we can just post it. You know, it's not like we have to,
I just don't know if it's posted.
yeah.
I think we should just post it. I mean, if it's not inevitably not gonna be more than 35, because you're not supposed to go more than 35.
Barring,
Do it
does-
anyway, just
does the
post
state-
whatever it is.
does the state park have any say in this road? No, okay.
Yeah, just
I'd
Not
say
they turn in their driveway. So, well, give me a motion.
Yeah,
I'd move to post 35 on the straightaway.
Okay.
or whatever
Whatever
the
it
speed
is.
limit is.
Or, yeah, the existing speed limit. I'd move to post that on the straightaway going both directions.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Opinions? Okay. All those in favor of giving Steve the direction to post the road at whatever the existing speed limit is, signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposed?
All right.
Okay. 4-1. All right, so that's done. Next thing is the this the contract? The contract for the Humane Society to hold dogs that are from Townsend. They're asking a flat fee of $3, or they're asking total town flat fee of $385. It seems like that was the same price that I've seen the last few years. Do you remember?
I don't remember what the rate was last year, but
Last year, the contract said that the town determined the price, and we had to go back to her and ask her why she was asking for a certain amount of money when the contract said otherwise, and then they switched it.
Okay. Well, at this point, they're asking for $385 to deal with impounding the animals that are taken from Townsend. So I'd entertain a motion to sign the contract with the Humane Society and for the $385. Is there a motion? Okay. Fails for the lack of a motion.
Or is it because people are reading, or is it because we're not making a motion?
This is a once-a-year fee that will guarantee they'll house any animals our constables bring.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's not just the constable. If you pick a dog up off the side of the road, you can drop it off down there, they'll take it, being it from Townsend, and then charge the person $30 per canine and withholding $12 per canine administrative fee, or WCHS will withhold a $12 per canine administrative fee. Point is, we pay $385 to sign a contract with them, and then people can pick your dog up off the side of the road. Meanwhile, it might be like wandering away from the house, like in sight of it, and it costs the person $30 to go retrieve their dog down.
I've heard of that happening, yeah.
Yes, well, it happens way more than I think you would think,
Yeah.
or would like to think.
Some wandering dogs, yeah. No, I know, it technically.
Not even
it's a-
wandering, it's like people do own more than like what you can see of road frontage, and it's like, this is the dog's home, so to speak,
Sure.
and all of a sudden it's brought down there, and a Townsend resident has to go pay $30 to go retrieve your dog that was basically never left the property.
Do you guys know if that dog is not permitted or licensed, does that change any of this scenario?
I don't think they give it back if it's not licensed. I mean,
Right,
don't get
you're
me
right.
wrong, I
you're
think you
right.
need to get it licensed and make sure it has rabies shots and stuff like
Approve
that.
all of that stuff
We'll still
before
charge.
they can leave.
We'll still charge you too.
And, yes, right here, the proof of current rabies vaccinations, all that stuff,
I think it's
before they're released to the owner.
I think the cost is gone.
Okay.
So I'm taking it based on your explanation of this, that the town does not then also charge town people a fee for
No.
being a repeat dog pickup customer.
No.
No. The town doesn't get, I mean, we pay, my point is that we pay for a contract with them for them to take our dogs, and then they charge us to take the dog.
Right.
Wasn't that double paying?
Well, right, they don't charge, they don't charge the
No.
town the additional fee, they charge the individual who accrued the service. I was just asking if the town would ever then, anyway, but I got it.
The only issue here by not signing the contract is when the constable gets a dog that he can't do anything with, there's no place now to put it unless we have this in place. So it just makes the constable's job harder. And he's, like everybody else in town, working, so he gets to these things when he can get to them.
I mean, I understand that it would be a frustrating process for somebody that has to keep getting their dog picked up. Given what humane societies do, I mean, $385 doesn't seem outrageously expensive. I get that it's kind of
Could you
questionable
explain what they do?
Well, they do a lot of things. You mean as a humane society?
Well, whatever, I mean, besides holding
Rehoming
your dog.
pets,
Okay.
like that side of stuff.
Affordable spaying and neutering and
Yeah.
animal control. They do serve a function, but I don't like the fact that they are charging individuals as well as charging the town. I don't know if I'm ready to vote because of that reason, but it's a really small fee.
Okay, let's do this. Why don't we wait on it until next meeting, table it until next meeting, read the contract, and then we'll see then. We'll put it back on the agenda. Does that sound like a good idea? Rob?
Sounds good?
Okay. Phoebe, you good
Yeah.
with that? All right.
May I say something?
Yeah?
I have a family member that does doggy daycare and in-home dog sitting, and she gets paid $50 through another contractor a day for taking care of these dogs, and the contractor gets even more money. So $30 for taking a dog for a day, even if it's a mistake, is a pretty reasonable charge, really, considering what people out there that are doing it for a business are charging.
Yeah. Thanks for the input. Would you hand that to someone, please?
No, my
Our
hands
hands
are
are
going
going
out.
tight when it comes to it.
Multiple times. They got 300 acres of land. Just because we live by the road, doesn't mean you take your stuff and take it away.
No,
$30.
Okay, we have two requests, one for the town hall. Oh, wait a minute. What are you looking for? Well, I don't know which one they're looking for.
They're looking for a candlelight vigil for,
On the common,
on the common.
Yeah, I'm looking at Moriarty.
they're looking for down here, the
that's the
first
last
floor.
one.
Okay, let's deal with the common first. This is a candlelight vigil for Dylan Manders, who died a couple of years ago in a traffic accident. And they're requesting use of the common for that vigil. Does anybody have a problem with that?
I'd make a motion to allow the candlelight vigil for Dylan Landers on the common on May 15th, starting at 7 till 8:30 p.m. 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and waiving the fee.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, 5-0. Let's see. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Kathy Greaves would like to use the building for a gathering for memorial of Bill Moriarty. Now, I don't personally know who he is, but Ellenka said that he did a lot of work for the town, school board, and things like that in the past. I don't know when he passed, but that's what they're looking for.
I'd make a motion to allow Kathy and Ellenka, Kathy Grieve and Ellenka Wilson to use the town hall on the 22nd of June. It says from afternoon or evening, either one, as long as nobody else is using it, for the memorial of Phil Moriarty, who was a longtime resident of West Townsend. And as you said, did a lot of civic work for the town through the years.
And the fee?
I'd waive that, please.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all 5-0.
Whose handwriting is this?
Ellenka's.
Like,
It's cool.
She sent, when I registered as a resident, she sent me, she handwrites and it's so cool. I actually took a picture of it and I use it as like my stamp.
Oh, nice.
Because it's just such great handwriting.
Here's the originals of that
Lessons
request.
Monday at 6 o'clock. Handwriting.
Okay, see what else we got in it. All right, we need to go into executive session for a couple of issues relating to personnel. I have a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, 5-0. So there won't be any report out from this issue. Thank you.